Good evening, good evening, good evening. And if you're looking at my face, then you know it's time to have your game face on. I'm Richard the Razor Ewing, and tonight we got a special treat. It appears that my counterpart, Matt NoneTheWiser Wise, needed to take a hiatus. And actually, my original co-host is with us tonight, Mike TheShu Shumann, which I'm just ecstatic that he took time out to come back on with us. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Razor. You know I'll do anything for you. So
Okay.
good to be back on GameFace.
Right. Well, as you know, whenever we start the show, I got to go to the questions.
That's what, I'm looking for. That's the only reason I came back for the show. Go ahead.
So if you're trying to figure out how to make sure that your wager that you're making on preseason football is going to pan out correctly, you're on the wrong podcast. And if you're trying to figure out where Matt NoneTheWiser is, you're still on the wrong podcast. I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. He's Mike TheShu Shumann filling in this evening. And you're on GameFace. Welcome. I had so much fun with that. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
I tell you, when Matt comes back, if he sees us, he's just gonna be like, Rich, why?
No, I gotta hear it again. So, and while we're here, let's do old times here. And of course, with the NFL season coming up in college football, you want to be laying down those bets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win money today. Whether it's live bets during games or futures for those of you who think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. All right, visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game, go to Bet Online.
And there you have it. So if you think you got the chops, you think you can beat the odds and beat the house, then yeah, you do. The pipes are still flowing, brother. You're making it happen.
Well, I bet online that you're going to use your usual open, so I won money tonight before I even had to put a bet.
So we're gonna get right into the whole the elephant in the room, and that's definitely the 49ers versus the Raiders. It's preseason football. You know, what's interesting is there's a lot of other screws to this thing. First of all, we're only doing 3 preseason games now. The schedule's expanded to 17 games, and I have to admit, this was a game with a lot of surprises.
Well, no question. And what came out of it today was Trey Lance chipped a bone on his throwing hand. And I think Kyle Shanahan wouldn't admit which finger, but it looked like his index finger. When he followed through, he hit it on a helmet. Chipped the bone in that finger, and he can't take a snap now. So he's out for the next 7 days, and they're hoping it will heal. Now, with that said, I've been saying all along, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start the first game of the season. They'll have a little package for Trey like they did against the Raiders. I don't like the way they did that particularly. We'll talk about it. Because when I played back in the 1979, Joe Montana's first year, Bill Walsh did the same thing with Joe. Steve DeBerg would drive us down between the 20s, and I'd turn around, and here comes Joe in for the glory. Bill wanted to build his confidence. He let him take us in and score. And I called Steve DeBerg Iceberg, and I go, Ice, Joe's coming in for the glory. And Steve hated it, because you get out of rhythm. And the way that Kyle did it yesterday, I didn't like that either. Jimmy goes 2 plays. Here comes Kyle for 2. You can't get in a rhythm as a quarterback when you're not in the game full time. And if Kyle, who has a lot of confidence in himself, bordering on arrogance, thinks he can pull that off, because no starting rookie quarterback has ever taken a team to the Super Bowl. So Kyle's thinking, maybe I'll start Jimmy, play Trey a lot, and maybe we can get there that way. So a lot to be determined now, because if Trey Lance's finger is not or is more serious than they think, he can miss the first 2 or 3 games. And now Nate Sudfeld is your backup because Josh Rosen was cut and now plays for the Falcons. So all of a sudden, these injuries are kind of offsetting what the 49ers might have wanted to do coming into the 2021 season.
But it's also kind of interesting too, because, what do we know? You talked about, Kyle Shanahan's, what do they call him? They call him the evil genius, if you will, when it comes to running offenses and his arrogance and things like that. And we all seen that part of him. with him running with the two set quarterbacks, that's where I'm thinking he's trying to basically offset what prognosticators think. The big question was who's going to start week 1? Is it going to be Trey Lance or is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo? And I'm with you because I said the same thing. I said, look, there's no way in the world Trey Lance is going to come in there week 1. The guy hasn't had enough playing time. You're not going to put him in the ones against a seasoned NFL defense. And for him, in my opinion, to kind of do that, it kind of sent a mixed message trying to say, well, you know what? I might go with Trey. I might go with Jimmy. That's the whole thing I got from it. Once again, he's trying to throw what do you call them? Missing clues to really shadow what he's really going to do. And that's kind of what he did with the whole Jimmy versus Trey thing the entire time.
Well, I think too, it did a little bit with Joe and Steve DeBerg. It kind of created a little divide in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You're already hearing, Kittle, Debo, people talking about who they prefer to start, and that's not good for your locker room. Kyle, hopefully Kyle has told the team who's going to start and they all know it. So you don't have any division in the locker room going into this. And Jimmy seems to feel like he's the guy and he should be the guy. Like you said, Kyle played one game in 2019, our full season and one game last year. So he needs reps. He's not ready. He's got a huge upside. You can see that Kyle's the best run designer in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They had 275 yards rushing against the Raiders, who didn't bring anybody up there. But when you're rushing the ball like that, they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So in some ways, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback when you're running the ball that well.
Yeah.
So and a lot of people say, oh, well, if they're both about the same, start the rookie. No, that's not the way it works. You don't have a $27 million quarterback sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So, and Josh Rosen, who was here before, was a perfect example of that. First round out of UCLA to the Cardinals, they threw him right to the Wolves, ruined his confidence. He's been on 5 teams now in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a great number 3, and they kept Sudfeld because Sudfeld had $200,000 guaranteed in his contract. Really? Josh is such a better quarterback. And this is the arrogance of Kyle Shanahan, who thinks he can make anybody play that position because of the way he calls the game. So already at the quarterback position, they could be in trouble.
Yeah.
If Jimmy gets hurt early, God forbid, Trey's not ready, Nate Sudfeld's going to be your quarterback on a potential Super Bowl team.
Well, but this is the thing, though, about Sudfeld, versus say a Trey Lance. Sudfeld does have more experience. And so obviously Trey Lance has a talent and he has some athletic ability, but he's not experienced. So the other thing that I wanted to focus on is that I saw some sparks of life in the defense for San Francisco. There was a sack by Kerr. I think there was another by I want to say Jordan Willis. I may be wrong. And then you had the veteran back there, Clinton Dix with an INT. So it shows some spark, it shows some life, and I'm just kind of watching, the new defensive coordinator and how he's going to be able to bring this defense back to what it once was, because we know what happened last season. Okay, it fell apart. They weren't able to maximize pass rushing. You had Bosa was out, so with a fresh, healthy Bosa and with that veteran and Clinton Dix, I think this is something that they may be able to put together.
Well, they have probably the deepest defensive line in the NFL. With Bosa and D Ford back, Eric Armstead and Kinlaw. They're a beast up front. Then they've got, a second defensive line that could start for anybody in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And several of those players are Raiders cast-offs. You got Fred Warner in the middle with the young linebacker surrounding him, Jimmy Ward, and cornerback's kind of the weakest position, but the kid Demo Lenore has really showed up. And so I think the defense will be back to where they were in their Super Bowl season. So I'm not worried about the defense. Offense probably has the best offensive line they've had under Kyle Shanahan with the addition of Alex Mack. And they're not deep there either, though. So what's held the 49ers back for a couple of seasons, injuries. They can't afford a lot of them this year, especially on that offensive line and in the secondary. So with that said, they got a Super Bowl contending roster. And how's that defense going to react with Robert Saleh gone? He's now the head coach of the Jets. And that's about the only question mark, I think. And then the quarterback position. Can Jimmy stay healthy?
Well, I think the other thing is, you know, you look at the running back core and they're very deep there. So
Right.
the question is, you know, which running back are they going to sign? I really like what I saw in Jermichael Hasty. I
love
him.
him.
I liked him. I liked him. I was like, man, this boy got wheels. He can move. Okay.
And they're talking about he's going to get cut. So
why?
Well, he had one good game, and I think he was a little injured. But yeah, I like him. You know, Mostert should start. You know, Wilson's injured, so they've got a lot of youth back there.
Yeah.
And Mostert, as we know, is injury prone. So
yeah, I'm not really on board with cutting Hasty. I'm not on board with that. I'm not on board with that. Yeah, that guy can run, and he's
a change of pace back.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I thought the guy that was probably going to get cut would have been what is it, Gallion the third? I thought they were going to let him go because
Gallman,
Gallman the third, because he didn't seem consistent to me.
Well, he's steady, but he's just one of these guys you can give him the ball 100 times a game. Hasty's a change of pace back. He's hard to hit, hard to bring down.
Right.
So,
and that's what I like.
I think it'll be running back by committee, which it always has been with Kyle. So,
well, I'll tell you this much. We take a look at the receiving core of yesterday's game, and I will tell you this much. I don't know what I'm going to do with Jalen Hurd. I just don't know what else I can possibly do. Here's a guy who hasn't had a lot of playing time, hasn't been on the field long, and he gets an opportunity to show his skill set. You know, he's a beast. What is he, 6'5", 2 something? Big boy. Yeah, he's a big boy, but yet put the ball, what does he do? He gets some dropsies, man.
Well,
and I'm just like, I'm wondering if they'll give him a shot, if they'll go ahead and sign him and give him a shot.
Well, he's one of the 6 best receivers on that team. They'll keep 6. But his injury, you know, he's been injured the last 2 seasons. He played well in that game against the Raiders. That one drop was tipped, I think. But
well, no, he had 2 drops.
Well, okay, but Juwan Jennings is the same guy. Big, can play in the slot.
Right.
So one of them's going to be kept, and one of them's going. And I don't think you can put Jalen Hurd on the practice squad any longer as a third-year player. So either you keep Jalen and put Juwan on the practice roster, and if Hurd gets hurt again, you know, Juwan can come up. So I think that's what they do. But Deebo Samuel, he hasn't played a whole season yet. He might turn out to be the best player at that position, never to play an entire season, because he doesn't protect himself when he runs. He just tries to run over people.
Yeah.
Ayuk had a great first year, looking for good things out of him. And then
I still don't see in Ayuk the one thing that I said this. Matter of fact, I said this last time you and I were on the show too. I said that the problem I have with Brandon Ayuk, the guy can catch the football, beautiful, but his to me his Achilles, he doesn't have breakaway speed. I don't know what it is. He now this is the thing. When you throw it to him, he can get you the first down. Okay, he can catch the football, but once he catches it, that's it. There's no yak. There's no yards after the catch.
He has a little bit of that, but he doesn't have that breakaway speed. But he's a guy you can throw the ball up anywhere and he'll go get it.
Yeah.
He'll snatch the ball out of the air like great receivers do. You don't let the ball get to you.
Right.
You go get it.
You go get it.
So with that said, I think he's perfect for that position. He plays the X, which, you know, he's just running routes, moving the chains.
Yeah.
So, they don't have that speed burner like they've had in the past.
Yeah. I don't see it either.
No, the kid is having a great camp. I can't think of his name now.
Was it Sure or something? Or
Sherfield.
Sherfield, yeah.
He's had a great camp. He'll make the team. Travis Benjamin could be that punt returner they need because they don't have one now.
Yeah.
And also play special teams and receiver. And I think that's why he might make the team over Juwan Jennings, who plays special teams, but they need a return guy. So a lot of questions to be answered at that position, depending on which way Kyle wants to go. I know Kyle loves Jalen Hurd. I think he wants to keep him around. So that means somebody else has have to go on the practice squad or not make the team. So,
Okay. All right.
but tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the final cut's made from 80 to 53. Because when I played, they used to cut every week. So when you got down to the final cut, they were only cutting like 8 guys. Now they got to cut 53 seasons, 27 guys tomorrow.
Dang.
And 20 of them won't be that tough. But there's going to be 7 there that are like, oh, who do I want for my final receiver?
Right.
Who do I want for my final running back?
Right.
So a lot of decisions to be made. Who's going to back up the nickel cornerback? So tomorrow will be interesting. And then, tomorrow's also a day when people are picked up on the waiver wire. So if they feel like they've got a weakness, they'll go out and find somebody else.
Okay. I want to shift gears here a bit. And we got to talk about the A Stadium. What is going on with that thing? That thing, they have tried to blow that hot air balloon up, and it's like no matter how much they pump that pump, it's going, and then he goes right back down. And I'm just trying to understand what is Fisher, Cavill, and company doing?
Well, they're kind of playing poker with Mayor Schaaf of Oakland. They went to Las Vegas last week for a couple of days, Cavill, and they've got to go there and check it out because Oakland's already run the Raiders out, the Warriors out. You're going to run the A's out, and it'll just be a town with really no professional sports. So I still think the Coliseum's the best site. You just make it a great site where there's, commercial stuff around there. It's easy to get to. The Howard Terminal is great, but, where are you going to come up with $1 billion to get this thing done? The city of Oakland doesn't have it. I mean, the owners of the A's have it, but I don't think he wants to spend it. So it's going to come down to either Fisher's going to have to sell the team or they're going to move to Las Vegas. If he don't want to spend the money to pay and stay in Oakland, let's go ahead and sell it to somebody else so they can stay here. But it's becoming such a distraction. Players don't really pay attention to it. They're just playing where they play. But, these guys want to know where they're going to live. It's like when the Raiders moved to Vegas. They wanted to know, am I going to have to move my family? Am I going to stay here? So a lot to be determined. And I think A's fans are just turning their head like, I don't want to hear about this anymore. So it's just a damn shame. Number one, if they could get that Howard Terminal built, it would be spectacular. But that's nothing but a nightmare getting in and out of there after a game. You think it's bad getting out of the Coliseum on the waterfront? So a lot to be determined, but and Mayor Schaaf is acting like, hey, the money's there. We've agreed in principle, but you can agree in principle, but we still got to see that cash, once everything gets underway. So
right. And
I don't know, man. If I had to guess right now, and it seems like the A's ownership does not want to use the Coliseum site.
No, they don't.
So if I had to pick a winner right now, I think they're leaving.
Wow.
I hate to say it, but I just don't see the city of Oakland getting it together, and the A's just lost patience. So because Cavill got that stadium built for the earthquakes down there and on the peninsula,
right,
Santa Clara area. So he feels like he can get it done. He knows he's done it before, but he probably hasn't faced somebody like this, the city of Oakland in terms of getting it accomplished.
Okay, so we got to talk about Gigantus because that's the way they've been playing lately. I tell you something, I cannot believe that at the beginning when Cavill became manager, they were ready to basically add some gas to that dumpster fire, light it, and walk away. Okay, and all of a sudden, hey, all the people that said he couldn't get it done, look at him now.
Well, I know it's your team, and I haven't followed them that closely this year. Kind of looked up. They have the best record in baseball. I couldn't name, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey, and Cueto. Probably the only guys I can name on that team from the championship years. And Kapler is doing it. kind of like the A's have been doing it all these years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a bunch of players that, you know, no-name players, so to speak, and not taking anything away from their game.
Right.
But not superstar players, get them to play together, you know, finding a couple good pitchers and go innings, 7 innings. And Kapler's doing some great job managing. I mean, he should probably be manager of the year. Wouldn't you say?
I would think so. I mean, you look at not that, but you gotta tip your hat to Farhan Zaidi. I mean, the acquisition of Chris Bryant was huge. That was just huge. Okay.
Right.
This guy has been an MVP, and you know, everybody was trying to think, okay, the trade deadline is coming. Generally, you know, this is when the moves happen. It makes you wonder, okay, so how are they going to be able to bring somebody in that's going to actually help the team? And all of a sudden they make that move and they get Bryant and make him a giant. And all of a sudden, in his first day, what does he do? Knocks a home runner out of the park. I mean, I tell you something. This guy, Farhan, this guy knows his business. You got to give it to him. He knows what he's doing.
No, definitely. And like I say, they're more analytic now. You know, Bruce Bochy didn't deal in analytics.
Right.
So Bob Melvin's been doing that with the A's for years, along with Billy Beane. And now they're doing it. But have you ever seen a team who's the best in their professional sport get less attention than the Giants are nationwide right now? Right? Or even locally.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's all about the Niners, 2 quarterbacks and, you know, the Warriors, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, dude, the Giants are the best team in baseball.
And nobody's talking about it.
No
love. Yeah. But I think a lot of that has to do with MLB as a whole. You know, I think I think that the commissioner is trying to do what he can to save face for MLB, but MLB is starting with the commissioner. Okay, is shooting themselves in the foot. They've been shooting themselves in the foot now for the last 15 years. So I mean, really, on one end, it's wrong. It's rude for MLB. It really is. You know, they should be. Matter of fact, I look at commercials for MLB. I don't even see the Giants. I don't even see the Giants. I see the Yankees. I see who else?
Red Sox.
Red Sox and
the usual suspects.
Yeah, all these other teams. I'm just like, man, they're the best team in baseball. Why aren't you guys promoting the Giants?
Well, I think part of the problem too is just this generation coming up is instant gratification is not fast enough for them.
Right.
You know, with the phones and everything else. So baseball is such a slow-moving sport.
Right.
That this generation just doesn't get it. You know, they don't understand that you can be out doing something, turn on the radio and listen to the game, you know, get involved in the ebbs and flows of it. Those days are over. And then remember that when we were growing up, we'd go get, you know, 15, 20 guys and go play some baseball.
Right.
Kids don't do it now, especially in the inner cities anymore.
No.
It's become more of you know, from all over the world, baseball is coming. More Latinos, you know, different parts of the world. You just don't see, you know, it's just not the sport that's making any headway. And you're right, the commissioner's got a lot to figure out to keep people interested in the sport.
Yeah, and it's back to what you were saying. It's like the generation now, they're not hands-on when it comes to physicality. They're virtual. Everything's virtual. You know, they don't want to actually go out and physically do it. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was on the job the other day and I'm watching this kid is on a skateboard and it was motorized. I'm like, man, dude, are you kidding me right now? It's like, you think about it, skateboarding or the whole, you know, catch up skateboarding is to physically do it. Okay. You don't see, I can't think of the one kid's name who's won all those awards for skateboarding.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of, Tony Hawk. You see Tony Hawk on a motorized skateboard.
Well, it's like electric bicycles, electric scooters.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to put in the work anymore.
No.
You know, and unfortunately, they don't relate to something as simple as setting a goal, you know, working as a team,
right,
trying to achieve those goals. So it's a kind of a different generation in terms of what they're attracted to. And you see in the Olympics, for instance, there was, I think, 33 different sports in the Olympics. When I was growing up, it was track and field, gymnastics, and swimming, you know. So I don't know. It's just a different era now, and baseball is a sport that's really falling behind.
Yeah. So now we're gonna shift gears over to the Golden State Warriors. You know, I got to do that. And I got to do it because we saw what happened last season. NBA instituted a new playing game, and Warriors didn't make it, and there was obviously some talent issues going on there. And recently, I'm sure you saw this. You had the situation with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. They were on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
All the smoke. All right, and they did this podcast thing, and I saw it, and I have to admit, I listened to the aficionados throughout the week talk about it, and they were going on and on about what was this, what was that, and I have to admit, my first reaction was just, "Come on, man, are you serious? Really?" It's like, guys, you guys obviously must have way too much time on your hands, okay? Because first and foremost, that's done. It was in the books. It was you can't look. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stab the dead horse? Is that what you're gonna do? Okay, because that whole thing was over. It was done with. And so I called into one of the radios. I can't remember which one, but I called and I told him, I said, the only reason why we're even talking about this is because the two of them sat down on a podcast and brought it back up. That's the only reason. Okay.
Well, it was almost like Draymond wanted closure he asked Durant, he said, did me getting in your face in that Clipper game, was that the main reason you left? It's almost like he wanted closure. And then Durant came back.
Well, because he was feeling some guilt. He was.
Yeah, of course he should.
Yeah.
And then he threw Bob Myers and Steve Kerr under the bus. Draymond did. Yeah, and
I tell you something, he is doing what Kelly Oubre did. Okay. Kelly Oubre, well, more so than Kelly Oubre, really. Okay, because
we have a guest appearance from my lovely bride.
Oh, tell her I said hi.
Yeah, okay.
But my point being is that Kelly Oubre did kind of talk himself out of Golden State. And I think that Draymond Green is doing that too. It's like, man, there's certain things you just don't do when you're employed by your employer, okay?
Now, Draymond thinks he can say anything, get away with anything. And to me, I would have got rid of him and kept Durant. Draymond wanted Durant out of there because they couldn't have paid him a max contract of $100 million if Durant was there. Yeah. So Draymond had his ulterior motives. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
And he's at a point in his career, he can't shoot the threes anymore. He's really almost a point forward. He can get you some rebounds, and he's a coach on the floor for young players. Right. But is he worth $20 million a year just to be a coach on the floor? I don't think so. Well, I'd rather see young players coming up that, get the minutes, because in the NBA, you really need those minutes. So, and what's that gonna do to the chemistry inside? This should have been something that Steph Curry should have been involved in. It's kind of the team leader. Draymond should have run that by him. I don't know, but I heard it. And I said, dude. And Bob Myers and Kerr are going to blow it off and say, oh, that's Draymond being Draymond. But Draymond's already, he cost him a championship, getting, ejected. I don't know. To me, his time's up in Golden State.
Well, I think not only that, but
thanks
also
for the memories.
Yeah, right. And I think also, to your point, you have to look at the fact that when you are employed for someone, you're employed based on what they want out of you. Okay, that's what the whole employment is about. I can't go in and start talking crazy to my boss. You know what I mean, and tell him what I think, even though what I'm telling him is probably trite and probably rude and probably. I can't do that. If I do that, they're going to fire me. Okay.
Right.
And so, really, this is really just a problem in the front office when it comes to dealing with the Draymond Green, because this is something they should have nipped in the bud a long time ago. Okay. And they didn't. Okay. And so now what do you have? You have the crazy people run the asylum, so to speak. And I hope I didn't step on anybody's feet when I said that. I was just trying to use an analogy to help you appreciate that.
No, I think the term is inmates run the asylum.
Yeah, inmates run the asylum. So now look what it's become. It's become a situation where Draymond can get publicly on a podcast, throw his superiors under the bus. I say superiors because they're paying him to do the job, and nothing happens. And like you said, it's probably going to cause some type of division inside that locker room. Okay, because these young kids are coming up and they're looking at Draymond, seeing what Draymond's doing. They're thinking, well, shoot, you know what? I don't necessarily have to curtail either.
Well, I think what happened was last year, it was just really Draymond and Steph. That's why Steph led the league in scoring last year.
Yeah.
He didn't have KD. He didn't have Clay. He could just throw up as many shots as he wanted because that's the only way that kept them in the game. All right. And Draymond was out there, teaching the young center and everybody else screaming at them. So I just think, like you said, because they didn't nip it in the bud, it's the old, Draymond being Draymond. No, that's gotten out of control.
Yeah.
So I think he's gotten to a point where it's going to be a little face down, and nobody's bigger than the game.
Thank you.
And Draymond's gotten to a point where I think he might think he is.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for them. If Clay comes back, I mean, they're a contender again. Mm-hmm. But like I've said to you over the years, you had that 5-year run, like the Niners did in the 80s. It's hard to get back to that. So, yeah, maybe they can get back to the playoffs again. But it's like I said last year, there's 8-10 great teams in the West again. So it'll be interesting. It'd be nice to see if Clay can come back and see what they can do. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to that.
Well, I'll tell you something. I think what Draymond ought to do, too, and we're going to make this the last one. We're going to close it out. But I think what he ought to do is he ought to take a note from Paul Pierce. I mean, Paul Pierce was working for ESPN. He's making good money. He decided, what did he decide to do? He decided to go to the club. And, he's, making it rain and all this and all these things. And ESPN was just like, no, you can't do that and work for ESPN. And they made him an example. So,
right.
And I believe if Dre doesn't reel himself in, or even have his mom get involved, say, hey, look, you got to pull it back, man. Okay. Because if not, then what's going to happen is you're going to cause problems in that locker room that Kerr doesn't need and Bob Myers doesn't need. So,
no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, this is our show. And Mike, once again, man, took me back, man. Memories are good. They're good.
Well, it's always good to be back, Razor. And thanks for having me on. And hopefully I'll be on again during the football season.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely got to have you back. That's for sure.
Okay,
so,
buddy.
Yeah. So he is Mike TheShu Shumann. I'm Richard Razor Ewing. This has been GameFace. Unfortunately, we did not have Matt NoneTheWiser with us tonight, but hey, we had some shoes that could fill him when the big shoe was here. So just remember, this is GameFace, Bay Area Sports Magnified.